Hello and welcome to the show. Today I'm not in the audio booth, so expect to hear some interruptions in the background. So, with the apologies out of the way, let's head straight into the topic for today. Okay, today I would like us to look at branding versus sales. Which comes first? The reason why I want us to look at this today is because there's a problem in business circles these days, and that's because most people my age are obsessed with brand when they want to start their business journey. Everybody assumes I'm going to be in business, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a photographer, I'm going to be an architect, I'm going to be a consultant. So let me start with building my brand. That's one of the first things that I run into when I'm talking with people. Everybody wants to start from the brand journey. But which comes first? Does branding truly come first? The problem with this whole theory of I want to get into business, let me start building my brand, is it doesn't reflect the trajectory of most businesses. It doesn't show how most businesses actually grow. And so, because of this, a lot of people my age and younger are ending up with a very flawed picture of business. You're ending up with a very erroneous idea about how businesses grow, how businesses come about. Now, the reason why we end up with this flawed picture or this backwards picture is because of the stories and the brands that are celebrated in books and celebrated in media when some of us were kids. So I want to take some of those stories and scrutinize them a little bit more clearly. And then you're going to be able to see that even though your favorite businesses have evolved into mega brands, they didn't always start out as a mega brand. So let me repeat that in case you didn't get it. I want to take two very famous stories from when I was a little youth, just to prove a point. That's for those of us who are of the same age, that even though your favorite brands are currently mega brands, they didn't always start out as one. The case study that I'm going to be looking at today, remember, I'm talking about companies from my own generation. So you're not going to hear anything about Amazon and Facebook on this. So, two of the mega stories from my own generation would be Coca-Cola and Nike. Coca-Cola, of course, is the soft drink. Back when we were kids, there was the advertising campaign, Coca-Cola is it? In the 80s, Coca-Cola, Teach the World to Sing. The Coca-Cola Xmas Christmas campaigns, back when we were kids. Stuff like that. So Coca-Cola, the massive brand. Because when we were kids, late 70s, early 80s and beyond, this is the kind of stuff that we saw. And so because of that, we're now 40s, 50s, we're trying to start our businesses and we assume, oh, you know what, I'm going to build a mega brand because the businesses that were successful back when I was a kid, they were mega brands. So Coca-Cola and then Nike. So of course, Nike, not everyone. Not people of a certain age, because I don't know if Nike is really reigning these days. But anyway, let me not go off into a strange rant. So, but Nike, 70s, 80s kids were familiar with it. The Just Do It campaign, the Michael Jordan endorsements, the Air Force Ones, Tiger Woods endorsements, and all the branding activity that went on then. So, for those of us who were born in late 70s, early 80s, and beyond, we are familiar with businesses, successful businesses, doing massive marketing campaigns and doing massive branding campaigns. And then we become adults and we want to start businesses. And then we assume that is how it has always been. I want to open my medicine practice. Let me start with massive marketing campaign. Let me start with massive branding campaign. I want to open my law practice. Let me begin with massive marketing campaign. Let me begin with massive branding campaign. I'm about to become a wedding photographer. Let me begin with massive advertising campaign. Let me begin with massive branding campaign. But is this truly the case? And is this how these mega brands really began? I went online. I did a bit of snooping around and I confirmed my hypothesis. Coca-Cola in the early days. Oh, by the way, I haven't confirmed these from official sources. So after you're done listening to the podcast, please go and check, go online, check Coca-Cola's website or whatever, or maybe check Wikipedia and then confirm some of the stuff. Google it. So in the early days, the pharmacist who invented Coca-Cola, John Pemberton, if I got the name correctly, he invented it as a headache remedy. And then he started selling this thing to local pharmacies and it was mixed with carbonated water. carbonated water. That's the that thing you drink Fanta, you drink Coke, you drink Sprite, and then you belch. That's just carbon in the drink. So it makes everything together. Then, according to the gist, I found Pemberton's friend Frank Robinson, who was also his bookkeeper, was the one who designed the logo. And anyway, let me just skip all of that since I haven't confirmed some of these things. But basically, the early marketing or getting Coca-Cola off the ground involved distributing samples to pharmacies. I repeat, taking a bottle, taking a sample, going from one pharmacy to another. If you're in Lagos or in Abuja, picture this. You go to the popular street in Lagos, there are like 5 or 6 pharmacies there. That is what the people who are behind Coca-Cola, that is how they started. You enter this pharmacy, you try your luck. You come out, you enter the other pharmacy, you try your luck. You come out, you enter the other pharmacy, and you try your luck. And that was how Coca-Cola began, from distributing samples to pharmacies, promoting the drink to pharmacies. Now let's look at Nike. In the early days, I can't confirm this information, so go on interwebs for yourself and go and check. So the names that I was able to find: Bill Bowerman and a track coach, Phil Knight. Then third guy, what's the third guy's name? Anyway, basically they started off importing running shoes from Japan, and how they got the show on the road was they started slinging shoes from Phil Knight's car trunk. They will go to runners and track meet. They're going to running events and track meets and things like that, and then they will open the boot of Phil Knight's car, and then they will start slinging shoes one by one by one. So those of you who are in Lagos, in Abuja, I think we only have one stadium that I know of. But in Lagos, there's that stadium that is at Ojo Elegba. Then there's another stadium at, where again? I think in Lagos there are like 3 or 4 stadiums. I can't remember. It's been a while since I left Lagos. So think about it. These people import shoes from Japan. And then what do? They will drive to National Stadium. Then they open the boot. And then they start flogging the shoes. They start selling the shoes one by one by one. Then if they finish at National Stadium, and then they hear that, okay, at the stadium in Ojo Elegba, maybe African Nations Cup is playing or something like that, they will now drive there sharply, open the back of the car, and then start selling shoe again, one by one by one. And the whole thing was focused around building relationships with runners, trying to understand their needs and sales motions of selling one by one by one. Now, it is easier to tell the sexy stories about building the Coca-Cola brand and building the Nike brand. But the thing is, these massive companies that we love and that we respect, again, people my age, I'm not talking about you young bloods, because you young bloods, yeah, I know you know Coke, but I'm not sure if you guys know Nike. So you can see that the early success was around strong sales and strong business development. That is what they used to differentiate themselves. That's what they used to get themselves on the road. So both people were trying to build relationships. They understood what's up. When you're going from one pharmacy, you try your luck. Another pharmacy, you try your luck. Another pharmacy, you try your luck. You're building relationships. You have to. Because somebody might say no today. It doesn't mean that the person will say no forevermore. So the fact that you try pharmacy A on Monday doesn't mean that you can't come back next month and try your luck again. So they had to build relationships, and they had to connect with, on the Coca-Cola end, had to connect with distributors, and then on the Nike end, had to connect with runners, understand understand their needs. Then, of course, marketing eventually will become important. The slogans will become important. The endorsements will become important, so the Coca-Cola and the Santa Claus thing and, their fancy advertisements, and then Nike with, what's his name? That basketballer, the one that is bald, this bald basketballer, this old guy, Michael Jordan, Yeah, the Michael Jordan endorsement and all that. So all those things would eventually become important. But in the beginning, Coca-Cola's growth was a distribution play, pure distribution play. Funny thing is, right now, actually still is a distribution play. So they have NBC based in Lagos, making that their stuff in Alausa, and then you have a massive wholesalers driving their massive truck, buy all the bottles of Coke, and then go out and then try and sell it to distributors. Distributors try and sell to middlemen. Middlemen sell to retailers. Retailers sell it to us. So it still is a distribution play. But it started off as a distribution play, going from one pharmacy to another pharmacy. So the channel choice was really, really pivotal. We want to sell this thing. How are we going to do it? We're going to go this thing through pharmacies. And then it was a very grassroots approach, because it is walking leg by leg. Enter this pharmacy, come out. Enter the next pharmacy, come out. Enter the other pharmacy, come out. This was prospecting, physical prospecting, going to somebody, visiting a pharmacy, visiting an office. This is how it started before the mega marketing campaigns and the mega branding campaigns. It's the same thing with Nike. In fact, Nike, you can't even say that was prospecting. That one is just pure hustling. Because, we see people like that in the city center. They do it in Lagos and they do it in Abuja. I'm not sure about other parts of the country. We see it all the time. Somebody will just drive somewhere, just park his car, open up, and, before you know it, bring out shoe, bring out this, bring out that, and then the guy is just selling his stuff from the car. If local government, what are these people called? These people that like to harass people for all these levies. What are they called again? And you know what I mean, Sha? You just open your boot, start selling your things. If you see local government people, just throw everything inside your boot, close your car, zoom off. So that's what Nike that's what they were doing. It's pure hustling, meeting people directly, hustling market, one-on-one. Before they had their huge corporate offices with air conditioner and with billion-dollar advertising and with branding budgets. So I guess I've overflogged it. So let me just bring this episode to a close. All you people who are trying to start something, brand, what's going to be my logo, what's going to be my color, what's going to be my this, what's going to be my that, all this branding decision. See, I'm not saying branding is not important, though. Please, you guys should hear what I'm saying in context. Because I pointed out time and time again that Momsi was a marketing communications professional. Her MBA was in public relations, and she ended up as a PR and brand specialist. So branding is something I grew up around. But the thing is, people are paying attention to branding without paying attention to the substantive issues. And that's the reason why a lot of us are suffering. So branding is important. But the thing is, the people you respect, your favorite businesses, do not begin as a brand. Even if you check Dangote, I'm guessing, I'll go and do the research so I can make a podcast episode about that. I'm willing to bet my grandmother's teeth that for Dangote was also similar as well. That before the Dangote brand became a thing, he probably was hustling one or two things, prospecting, let me meet this person. Let me see if I can hook up this. Let me hook up that. Let me see what I can arrange, one-on-one, grassroots. Go and see somebody, go shake a hand, go have a conversation. I won't be surprised if that's how the whole thing started. I don't think this Dangote brand just dropped from the sky like that. So your favorite businesses not begin as brands. These people started going to the street. They were walking on the streets. They were going to the market. They were talking to people, one after another. They were trying to validate the business idea. This my drink that is supposed to cure cold, blah, 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 blah. Is it any good? Let's go to the pharmacy. Okay, people are drinking this thing, but it's not really to cure colds. They're drinking it because it gives them a good time or it gives them energy or whatever the market research was at the time for Coca-Cola. But first of all, they're trying to validate the business idea and work on the sales channels. Do people like this thing? Is somebody willing to pay for it? Okay, people are. So what's the best way that we're going to sell this thing? Then, after they got money and the business going, they now had money for massive marketing and then for branding. So, if you're starting out, please do not join all these people who are fascinated with a brand. But again, I say branding is important. But I'm just saying, let's not put the cart before the horse. You don't start with the brand. The brand is something that you end with, and the brand is something that evolves organically over time. So if you're starting out, instead of calling up your best friend and saying, who do you know that is good at branding? Let the person give me logo. Let the person give me color. Let the person give me website. Let the person give me letterhead, and all of this. First of all, start at level of market validation. Is this a product or a service that people even want? Can I sell a bunch of these things to be sure that it is even going to work in the first place? Is there product market fit? Do people like this thing? Are people demanding this thing? Try and answer that question first. And I've said it time and time again on the podcast that the way you solve the market validation challenge or the product market fit challenge is you actually go out into the market and try and do some sales motion. Try and sell some stuff. If you talk to 10 people and it looks like 8 people snap it up, they're like, oh, okay, we're making progress. There's room here. But if you talk to 10 people, 8 people snap it up, but the amount of toasting, the amount of selling was too much, then maybe you might think, well, there's demand, but more the stress involved in this thing. Maybe it's not the stress that I want to. This is not the kind of stress I want to insert into my life at this stage. But set out and try and answer these questions. So first of all, we're starting off with market validation, product market fit. We're trying to see, do people like this thing? Do people want it? Can I sell a bunch of stuff? Number 2, now that we figured out that people want a bunch of stuff, we're going to try and see what selling channels should we optimize on. What's going to work best? Then we're also going to try and come up with a selling framework. The reason why we need a selling framework is this. In the beginning, Coca-Cola boys, they're going from pharmacy to pharmacy. Eventually, when this thing works, you need to hire other people that will start going from pharmacy to pharmacy on your behalf. This is where selling framework comes in. If you have a well-established framework, when you're now hiring the next person that is going to start going from pharmacy to pharmacy, you'll be able to tell the person that, look, this is the sales channels we're doing. We're doing distributorship. We're only going to pharmacies. And these are the kind of pharmacies we go to. Don't go to these kind of pharmacies because this is tertiary pharmacy. They're not going to, our customers are not there. Go to these kind of pharmacies that are in VI, or go to this kind of pharmacy that are on Lagos Island, or go to this kind of pharmacy that can, on and on. So that's why this stage is important. Figure out the sales channel, figure out the selling framework, because eventually you're going to amass a team and you need to be able to direct your sales team accordingly so that they can sell well on your behalf. When you get the sales team, then the next step is going to be scaling your sales efforts. Scaling just means multiplying. Before, it was you and your friend going from pharmacy to pharmacy. That's how you people started. If you now hire 5 people going pharmacy to pharmacy, then, obviously, 2 people going to pharmacy to pharmacy, you're making progress. You hire 10 people. Those 10 people who take your selling methodology and your framework, going to sell on your behalf, that is multiplying the effort. That is scaling the effort. That is what scale means in the primary sense. But of course, when we start talking tech ideas, anyway, for now, when you hear scale, that's just what it means. Scale just means multiplying efforts. From scaling, you're going to get stable cash flows. You're going to get customers and stuff like that. Now, from those steady customers and from that market, from those steady customers and from those profits, now that is where you're going to be able to get the money to start doing massive advertising, massive marketing, massive branding. These things don't come cheap. Those of you who are looking for a branding specialist, you want somebody to design logo for you. You want the person to design letterhead for you. You want the person to build website for you. You want the person to build branding guide and everything for you. But you only want to pay the person 50K. Come on, wake up. Be realistic here. Be realistic. These things cost money. This is how you're going to be able to afford it. By starting off with marketing validation, establishing a selling framework, getting your sales channels, scaling on your efforts, getting customers, getting stable cash flows, then you will now be able to pay for it. So that if the person says, okay, Oga, I've looked at everything, this package that we're going to design for you, everything is going to be 400K. Then you will have the 400K to pay the person. Instead of trying to get solid branding output, but you want to pay the person 50K. Please, let's get realistic here. By the way, I don't sell branding services, so I'm not angry that, you guys are mispricing me or something, just in case you get the wrong idea. So, that's it pretty much. Oh, another thing. When you start off this way, like Coca-Cola or Nike, on the streets, talking to people, going to somebody's office, trying to sell things directly from your booth, you get a sense of who your customer is. You get a sense of what it is they like, what it is that they don't like. and you're going to get all the data that you need that will inform your brand. So when the Nike people just do it, blah, 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 all that jazz, all that stuff, the reason why they're able to get the thing right is because they are there in National Stadium or Joe Legba or whatever. They're talking direct to the people. So when the branding team sits down and they say, look, we're going to build the brand around this, around this, around that, it is not guesswork. It is because they know and they've been interacting with customers one-on-one. Or on the Coca-Cola end, they've been interacting with distributors one-on-one. They know what it is that the distributors like. They know what it is that the final customer likes. And that is also another reason why I say that we need to take this approach. So that eventually, when you do have enough money and you call a branding person in to say, oh yeah, let's manufacture something, let's work on the brand, you'll be able to tell the branding person that, okay, these are my customers, this is who I target, this is how they like to be treated, this is how they like to be talked to. And with that information, you guys will now select the right colors, the right logos, the right fonts, have the right philosophy behind, designing your website or whatever, all the fancy stuff that you branding people have to do. So that's also a reason why I say we should put the sales thing before the brand thing, because actually the sales thing will give you the money that you can use to build the brand and will also give you the data that you need to build the brand, instead of doing all this guesswork that happens where you call the branding person first, you create the logo, you come up with market positioning, you say you want to do luxury, and then you hit the market, but the clients that you're servicing clearly are not luxury, and then there's that mismatch. Your positioning, your logo, your everything screams luxury, but meanwhile you're dealing with everyday Joe. So sorry, Joe's and Janet. Let me be what's that word? Let me make it equal here. Anyway, this episode doesn't have to be a long one. Bottom line is, if you'd like to get out of your brand obsession, trying to start up your small and medium scale business, or if you want to see how you can integrate good sales practices with your brand, then reach out to me and connect. My phone number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234. If you're going to buzz direct, no Allah, it's no problem. If you're going to call on LinkedIn, however, please send a message ahead of time, because there are too many fraudsters on WhatsApp. I don't know what is going on. So send me a message first. I heard you on the podcast, blah, blah, blah. Would love to chat. We'll ping back and forth, and then we'll hop in a phone call. And then you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Tavishima Ayede. I'm the host of the show. Look at the link where you're currently listening to this episode. If you're on YouTube, it's bottom left. You see my name there, boldly. Highlight it, copy it, paste it in LinkedIn. My profile will come up. Send me a connection request, and we could be vibing in another 24 to 48 hours. So thank you very much for your time, and what do I even say again? Anyway, thank you very much for your time. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.